All right, so the next piece of content that we're going to look at in the Nearpod suite of tools is something called Microsoft Sway, or just Sway. You can add something to your NPLs called a Sway. Now, before I show you what Sway is, let me give you a little bit of the backstory. So we're a Google school, and we use the Google suite of tools, the Google for Education tools. We're not a Microsoft school, but there are Microsoft schools out there. And I happen to have a Microsoft account through my other job. I don't use these tools that much. I mean, I could, but I don't. I used to use PowerPoint a lot when I was first making my own Nearpods, but then I, discovered other ways. I don't use Excel much anymore because I use Google Sheets, but there's nothing wrong with Excel and there's nothing wrong with Google Sheets. It's just a very different tool to use. I don't use Word because I use Google Docs, but I find that my skills transfer pretty well between platforms. But one thing that Microsoft does offer in its suite of tools are something called sways. And I don't make my own sways. I just don't. But that's where this all came from. So you can like start a new blank sway. And it's basically, here's what it's going to look like in a Nearpod. Think of Nearpod as going like this slide to this slide to this slide to this activity to this piece of content in a linear fashion. When you add a Microsoft Sway, it takes a deep dive vertically. Now, you can build your own sways if you're a Microsoft user and you have like Office 360. That's awesome. I've never done that. Let me show you what Nearpod has done. So Nearpod has partnered with Microsoft and has had different people create specific sways for them. And again, they are clipped and curated just for educational content. So let's take a look at, let's see, famous landmarks. Let me find the one that I wanted to look at with you guys, the White House. Let's take a look at this particular sway. I'm just going to preview it. So if I preview this, let me move myself out of the way. So remember, the students are going to see this sway go vertical, and they're going to have total autonomy in controlling it. Students don't, you don't have to push these slides to students. So in this particular one with the White House, you got the White House, and then you got, the Washington Monument. And I think this is really cool. This particular sway, whoever created it, you can, and you can like zoom in on these. When they're embedded in your Nearpod, students can pinch in and make these things a little bit bigger. So like this is kind of the White House grounds. The significance of the White House, every president living there up from John Adams since, and the fact that it's the president's home and office. And then when you see a slide like this where it looks like cards are laying on each other, you can literally click on them and they sort of like, it's like you're looking at cards, like trading cards. So this is a feature of Sway to be able to make these little cards. Key information. I'm not sure what else can be embedded in Sways, but this particular one ends with a think, pair, share. Remember, the ones that are in Nearpod have been curated for classroom use. So this one has like a little, what was the most interesting new piece of information you learned in its in this particular Sway? I'm going to add a Sway or two, I can't remember what I've done, into this Nearpod so you can kind of feel like what, get a sense of what those feel like. Okay, thanks.